So apparently this recent Netflix original has the internet scratching their head, and the reviews are interesting. Naturally, I got FOMO and had to watch it. Hey there, creepy peeps. I'm Nightmare Maven. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I talk about horror, movies, books, other spooky stuff all year round. So if you end up liking this video, maybe subscribe and become a creepy peep today. Directed by Nathaniel Martello White, The Strays follows Neve, who leads a seemingly idyllic life in the English suburbs. But her perfect life, job, and family start to unravel at the arrival of two strangers who seem to know who Neve really is. I was debating about whether to try and make this spoiler free or not, but it's truly one of those movies that the spoiler free review is going to be like 30 seconds long. And I think I kind of want to get into the spoilers. So for anyone about to leave the video right now, all I will say is try not to read any of the reviews before going into this. Okay. For everybody staying, let's get into how this movie may be a little messy, which is a prevailing theme I see in the reviews online for this. That and comparing it to Jordan Peele, which is something that I feel like happens a lot more often now. Obviously, I love Get Out and Jordan Peele's work, but I feel like non-white people in the suburbs doesn't automatically mean it's a Get Out ripoff or Jordan Peele light. I just feel like the comparison is a little surface level, a little low-hanging fruit, only because I found the largest themes of either movie to be really different actually. When we're talking about The Strays, the biggest themes include, but are not limited to, colorism, internalized racism, motherhood, and abandonment, just to name a few. The director, as I mentioned, Nathaniel Martello White, who also wrote the film, has acknowledged Get Out in a few interviews, but cites films like Funny Games and A History of Violence as the biggest influence on The Strays. And I'm personally glad I didn't read any reviews before going into this, because I feel like if I had seen the numerous comparisons to Get Out, I definitely would have been let down because my expectations are going to be super high going in. But let's talk about how much of a wild ride this movie was. I feel like that's the nice way of saying it. Like, it's messy, or we can just switch that to, it was a wild ride. Starting off the movie, we're with Neve, who is Cheryl at this point in time, leaving what seems to be abusive relationship, a fact that isn't confirmed until a little bit later in the movie because it happens so quickly. And we're given like little to no information, just that she ups and leaves, and that's what we witness. And then immediately we're cutting to Neve years later in a completely different life, and it's kind of a shock how fast it happens in the movie. And then we almost immediately, right after that, start seeing Carl and Dion around. So we're never really given any time with just Neve as herself, which maybe is intentional. I'm not sure, but it's a little disarming as a viewer because I feel like you're getting whiplash because things just keep happening left and right, and it's like, you gotta process this movie quickly because it's gonna move on without you. And I didn't really feel like the movie started to be half-baked until we get to the second act of the film, which introduces us to Carl and Dion. We see them arrive in town and they start to infiltrate Neve's life. Carl makes friends with Neve's son Sebastian, and Dion gets a job at Ian, Neve's husband's work, and starts hanging out with Neve's daughter Mary secretly. I thought that was gonna go somewhere else. Like, I thought that was their aim, like to kind of just infiltrate Neve's life slowly and maybe drive her crazy to get revenge. That's kind of the vibes I was getting. Or the bonds they're very quickly forming with Neve's children would have some sort of payoff at the end, which I didn't feel like it did. Maybe I missed something. The only thing that's really confirmed about Carl and Dion is that they're clearly suffering from some mental health issues as a result of being abandoned by their mother, and as it's implied pretty heavily in the movie, being put into an abusive foster care system. Which leads us into the third act, which is completely unhinged. You can definitely see the influence of Funny Games in the last act though. And after everything I had seen up until that point in the movie, weirdly, I had no idea where the ending was gonna go. And I feel like That's on me. I guess I wasn't clearly not paying as good attention as I thought I was. Honestly, I think the ending was low-key a little brilliant. Just very funny in a dark and sad and twisted way. So in the midst of this chaos, Carl and Dion have broken into Neve's home and they're terrorizing the family. Carl has killed Neve's husband, Ian, at this point, and this delivery guy shows up because they forced the family to order Chinese food, and Neve just leaves. The last shot of the film where the kids hear the delivery driver's motorcycle start up again and peel away, and they realize what's happened and they go to the door, and all 4 kids just stare after their mom in disbelief. That ending is wild. But it makes sense though. It's literally what Cheryl / Neve does. She runs away from her life, her problems. My immediate reaction was my jaw hitting the floor and then me cracking up because I was just so shocked. At some points, I think it just got a little too wild and maybe kind of just started to veer off course a little bit. Like there was a couple of moments where I just feel like we had lost the plot. But by the time we got to that batshit crazy ending, I knew I at least had a fun time watching the movie, because I was definitely glued to the screen trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. Thinking about it now, I feel like the movie would probably be really good as a limited series. Then Carl and Dion's infiltration into Neve's life could have been like a tad slower. We can really get into what makes them tick, what makes Neve tick. I think more time is what was needed here, that's all. Overall, weirdly, I didn't hate it. Will I watch it again? Probably not, but I can think of worse ways to spend an evening. I think this would be really fun as a group watch too, especially if the majority of the group or the entire group is watching this for the first time. Absolutely, I would love to hear what y'all thought about this in the comments. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on The Strays. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a creepy peep today. And I'll see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.